This is At Face Value.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Here we go again, episode 14, At Face Value. I'm Brian.
And I'm Lucas.
We're so excited to have you back again for another week. And what a crazy weekend week of baseball. And then obviously an absolutely insane Saturday of football. And Lucas actually wanted to start off the episode by sending a thank you to Texas A&M. You want to start?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
Nah.
I was just wondering because it kept you from going 0-5 again.
Yeah.
So
Sure did.
I figured you might want to send a quick thank you down to College Station, but
I'm good. I would rather gone 0-5, honestly. Because the Aggies think they're winning the national championship now. So
oh, dude, yeah, they're on cloud 9 right now.
they really think they're title contenders now.
Yep, they're up to number 15, and yeah, they're on top of the world. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, man, like it was an absolutely insane weekend. Like I do a pick 'em with my family. We do like a big one as college and pro. And usually in college I do pretty good. And, man, my picks were absolutely rotten yesterday, which, I mean, I think for the most part a lot of people were just because there was just so much craziness that went on. But it was definitely a good weekend. So, but I did want to start off because I guess we can start with a little bit of heartbreak. Our Astros just unable to get anything going. And just losing two to the Tigers. But I mean the Tigers, like I think we talked about it in another podcast, like they were kind of the team that we were kind of nervous about playing anyway.
Yeah, they were hot. And then they have the best pitcher in the AL, in my opinion, in Skubal. But obviously couldn't do anything. What did we score? 3 runs in the 2 games?
Yeah.
And
they were in both games. It was late.
Yeah, that's not going to get it done.
Yeah, I mean,
and the lineup just wasn't clicking. The bullpen, man, and the whole Presley situation again, man. Like, you have a lead. I mean, I guess 162 isn't a big enough sample size to show you that he's not good in leverage situations.
Well, and that's what, especially in
I just don't understand.
Yeah, especially in a 3-game series, like whenever you absolutely have to win, and in that situation, you have to. You have to hold the lead right there. Because I think, what was it, 2-1 or 3-1?
I think it was, yeah.
Or I think it was 3-2.
3-2.
Yeah, I think it was 3-2 in the 8th, and then they bring in Presley, and he gives up 3 runs in the 8th,
and man, like, I understand the dilemma, right? Because Abreu, I think, was in the 6th.
Yeah.
Once you start digging into the bullpen that quickly, like, you run out of high leverage guys, and I mean, Forrest Whitley, did he make the roster?
I never saw his name.
No,
I don't think he did.
But, like, dude, like, that's a guy that throws gas that has been pitching his balls off. Like, put him up there, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
let him make the roster. Let him put him in some high-leverage situations earlier in the season.
What?
I mean...
Yeah, and I know, and we never talked about it on here, but I know we talked about it, like, in our group chat about, like he's a guy that the Astros have been looking forward to for years, and they've been waiting for him to finally develop. And then, like, finally, this is the healthiest that he's been his entire career. He makes the roster. I think he came up in June or July, pitched a little bit.
Dude, stuff plays.
Yeah, and then he did a good job, and then he gets sent back down, and then he gets brought up for the September. But I think he barely even pitched in September, didn't he?
Yeah, they just didn't give him a shot. But they just rode Presley, and he just continued to give up leads.
And that's kind of – and I get, like, historically he was there, but you saw the regression last year.
Yeah.
And, like, I know last year we kind of tried to attribute a little bit of that to the World Baseball Classic, but he struggled in the postseason last year. And then it really rolled over into the full season this year. Like
in velos down, not locating pitches well at all.
Well, and that was the biggest thing.
Leaving it middle, man. You can't do that.
Exactly, because that was his biggest thing is he was able to spot pitch his changeup and his curveball. Like, that's what made him the dominant pitcher because, like, it was never just, like, burning it past people. And, yeah, he was just a different guy this year. And so that was kind of definitely one of the confusing decisions by Espada. And so, but I don't know, man. Like, and I guess obviously the biggest reason that we would be disappointed is that, 7 straight ALCS appearances,
Yeah.
4 World Series appearances, 2 championships, like just so much. Like the expectations always been there, and like they've lived up to the expectations for the most part. And so then just to kind of flop out like that to the Tigers is just, it's kind of tough for sure. And then to see the Tigers in Game 1 turn around and get just throttled by the Guardians, like
Blown out.
yeah, it was just absolutely kind of insane to see. But
And a lot of people are talking, or they're saying, hey, let's blow it up, let's do this. I mean, if you get some pieces back, stay healthy, I mean, the pitching staff, I feel like, is going to be fine, especially if they re-sign Kikuchi and he does what he did in the back half of this
for
season.
sure.
That's a great like punch. I mean, if you're struggling for a first baseman, a center fielder, because the Chaz Myers thing, that's just not sustainable.
No.
That's just not going to work.
No.
I love what Chaz did for the organization, for the World Series, that catch in Philly. Love that, but dude, like, his bat is just so inconsistent. He's a pretty good defensive center fielder too, but I mean, you got to test the market, do something. I mean, I'd be down to make a big time, like, a blockbuster trade. I mean, put Fromber on the chopping block. Man, his stuff plays. His just mindset, his mental's not there.
And with Framber, like, does he have one more year, or like what's his contract? Because they never signed him, right?
I'd be lying if I told you what it was.
Because that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I want to say, like, he's got to only have like a year or so left.
But they also need to sit down and have a long discussion with Tucker and see what his plans are. Because if he's not going to be here in the long term, that's another trade piece. Like, and people will pay good money and give up good prospects for Kyle Tucker.
But this is it for him, isn't it? Isn't he a free? No, I think he's a free agent.
He has one more year.
Are you sure?
Yes, because he's going in arbitration.
Okay. Well, that makes a difference.
Bregman is done.
Well, yeah, I know Bregman. Like, I mean, I know we've talked about it, and like, he's been such a leader ever since he did come up to the team. But that dude, like, since 2019, and I know we've talked about it, he's been so inconsistent. Like, I just don't see the long term, like, how he could be the guy that they want to keep at the third base. I mean, defensively, I think even defensively, like, he didn't really show out like he has in the past.
I mean, dude, he made some, like, defensively. Yeah. I think he's in the top 3 in defensive third baseman.
Yeah, so,
and he hit 25 bombs.
But is he worth paying $300 million to?
I mean, no. But if you can get it close, because
he's got.
At the end of the day, who's going to give him $3 million or $300 million?
Well, and that is
like, who's going to give him that?
Yeah, I mean, because who was the last third base? Was it Matt Olson? That he was the last one that really got, like, the big.
And look how that turned out.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a good year in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, I don't know, and it's not like he's like a big power hitter, or, like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess kind of like what you said, like, you really just have to have conversations with all these guys.
And I think if you give him something in the ballpark of what he's asking, he's down to stay. You know who his idol is, right?
Who?
His number 2.
Oh.
He's a Jeter guy.
Jeter, yeah.
And what is Jeter's legacy? He stayed at the same team.
Yeah, same place for his entire career.
And I feel like Bregman is down to do that. Obviously, his agent Scott Boras, like, is notorious for, like, trying to get every penny out of a club, and I would want my agent to do the same thing. But I think Bregman legacy is one of his things too. And I mean, if the Astros are in the ballpark, he's staying. And leadership is the same thing. Look how much Altuve went to bat for him after this.
Oh, well, he's been up to bat for him since the end of the regular season, because, like, they gave him a big standing ovation at the end of the final regular season home game.
Yeah.
And I think they gave him another ovation after the last playoff game. And so, I mean,
it seems like
Houston loves the guy.
Yeah.
I think if you had to throw a bet out right now on what his future's like, I think you pretty much assume that he's not going to be there next year.
I mean, I agree, but I also don't know what the market's going to be like for him. And that's the biggest thing. There are rumors that he bought a house in Arizona.
So you think he might?
I mean, he could be a Diamondback next year. I don't know. That's the rumor. A lot of people are talking possibly New York. He'd be a Yankee. And I mean,
Oh God,
I would hate that.
Yeah.
Obviously, as an LSU fan and an Astros fan, I would hate that. But no, Tucker has a $12 million 1-year deal and is eligible for free agency after the 2025 season.
Okay, so he's at least got one more
But
year.
again, that's where you have to have a long conversation. Be like, look, man, if you're not going to be here for the long term, that's fine. We'll ship you out this year.
Yeah.
But like there should be some like return in that. Like, because again, next year we could push for another championship, but long term, past that, what's it gonna be like?
Yeah, because if you're pushing this year to hopefully get back to an ALCS, possibly a World Series, depending on how things shake out, then yeah, it's like, is it worth throwing it out there? But I mean, kind of from what I'm hearing too, and I know we have our buddy that he said he's talked to the hitting coach from the Astros, and it sounds like it's gonna cost a lot to keep him around too. But
it's warranted. I mean.
Oh, for sure.
At least during the regular season, obviously we could talk about his playoff woes as much as we want, but I mean the dude didn't play for 3 months of this season.
Yeah.
And then he just comes back cold in a big playoff situation, and I don't know. I think do I want him to stay with the Astros? Absolutely. He's an unbelievable player. Very good defensively, very good hitter, but I don't know if that's what he wants.
Yeah, I don't know what
But if that's what he wants, let's get some prospects for him.
And I think like it's almost worth it, because I know like the way that we've been talking is that like the farm system is so bad.
I think we might be dead last.
Yeah, like it's got to be close. Like, and that's what scares me, is that it reminds me of like what 2005 was.
Yeah.
Because you remember in 2005, like the Astros, like they put everything they had into into their major league system, and then they had like nothing.
Yeah.
So, sorry, my dog's making an appearance. She wants to be heard. So, but like they just put so much into their major leagues, and so then and that's what caused them to tank so far. And then you have those just awful seasons go all the way through 2013. So
yeah,
I would just hate to see that again, man.
I mean, Lunau built it the right way.
Yeah,
like he built it for long-term sustained success, and that's what we see. Or that's what we've seen. But it depends on what you want to do. If they want to make one last push and just blow it up, I mean.
Well, and it scares me too, because I remember like we were not fans of Drake McClain. It's because Drake McClain did not want to spend money.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to save pennies wherever he could, and now it's like.
But Crane talks a big game.
I know,
like
but
Crane talks a big game. Like he's like, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna be contending for a very long time. I'm gonna spend whatever money I need to spend to get this.
Yeah, but what has he done to show back that up?
That's my point. That's my point.
Yeah, like
not much.
Yeah, like
his PR team is just throwing stuff out there to appease fans.
Yeah,
I feel
like his big signings are Montero and Abreu, which we saw how both of those went this year. Abreu didn't even make it through the season, or neither one of them made it through the season.
I mean, dude, I love the guy Jeff Bagwell, but like that's on him too. Like,
and I don't understand that. Like, yeah, like as a player, Jeff Bagwell he's like my favorite Astro ever. Nah. Like I loved watching him all the way through.
Too,
but
I was a Biggio guy.
Oh yeah, but Biggio too. Like it was like a 1-1A kind of deal. But then then you just see like the way he is now. Like it's just like I know like he's kind of making his rash decisions based on. Because like he's like an old school guy, and that's why they love Dusty Baker so much. Because Dusty Baker was an old school guy, and it's like let's not look at analytics. Let's look at let's just be able to look at the guy and know like he's a player. Like you can't win that way anymore. And just
it's been proven.
Yeah, with the way technology and everything else is, like it's not worth it. But so I don't know, but so long term, a lot of question marks going into the off season, and man, I just hope. I know like the media right now they're just hoping so badly that it's going to end up being a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. But, I mean, the Yankees snuck by the Royals last night 6-5 or 7-6. And then the Dodgers came back to beat the Padres last night. And then now they're down actually 4-1 in the seventh right now.
The Dodgers are, or the Padres?
The Padres are up 4-1.
Man.
So then go 1-1 going back to San Diego. I think that'll be big.
I know we touched on it last week, but man, I'm a big Mets guy right now.
Oh, for sure.
God, I hope the Mets can do it, dude.
Yeah.
That'd be so sick.
Hey, man, they almost snuck it out today. That
They
game,
did.
I didn't watch it, but I was following the updates, and man, it was so back
Yeah.
and forth. Like, it was crazy.
That dude hit a 2-run bomb in the 8th inning.
It's the worst spot ever, dude.
And tied it up.
Yeah, and then then the Phillies ended up walking it
Castellanos.
off. But yeah, so it's gonna be
Castellanos, man.
yeah, so that's gonna be a really good series. I mean, if the Mets can end up pulling that out, like you never know what's gonna happen. But and we talked about it last week, dude. Like the Padres are a good team.
Oh yeah.
And the Padres have shown that they can hang with the Dodgers. So I mean, they absolutely could make some noise and potentially win that series. And the Dodgers have shown too that they don't always do a good job of making out of the NLDS. So
I mean, Shohei did announce his playoff.
yes, he did, man.
Yesterday,
Unbelievable.
So he announced his playoff appearance, and he looked good. I mean, he hit that 3-run bomb, and then Judge does what Judge Judge does what Judge does in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I didn't watch the game, but I was following it on like the tracker, and I saw that the Yankees had like runners on first and second and 1 out.
Okay.
And then I don't know who their catcher is. I have no idea who that guy is.
He went Wells? Austin Wells?
Yeah. He came up next and hit a base hit to tie the game.
So your two big hitters.
Stanton.
Well, so Soto went 3 for 5, so he had a good game.
Yeah.
Judge went 0 for 4 with 3 Ks, and Stanton went 0 for 4 with 2 Ks.
Dude, it's literally
like Soto,
it's just like a tradition, man. That's what it is. Both of those guys striking out in the playoffs is a tradition.
Dude, like I don't know how they won that game.
I don't either.
Like
Soto
Gleyber
going
Torres.
5 is Austin Wells had the big RBI single.
Yeah, well, Torres had 2 walks. I mean, he had 2 RBIs, and then Soto going 3 for 5. Wells going 1 for 3. He had the big RBI. Verdugo 2 for 3. But I mean, like, man,
Kansas City kind of blew it. Yeah.
yeah. If Kansas City could have pulled that one out, like, man, that would have been fun to see because now obviously you go into a hole in the road like that, but it seems like there's a lot of close matchups.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we talked about it. That's kind of what we were.
oh yeah,
expected,
for sure.
yeah.
You kind of didn't know what to expect, like who's going to come out, but yeah. But then the Tigers and Guardians, they play Monday. Royals and Yankees play again Monday. I think the Guardians and Tigers, the Tigers, they beat the Astros, turn around, get shut out 7-0. So that may be a series where that's a quick 3-game. Just depending. I mean, the Guardians are good. I mean, I know we've talked about that. Like, we definitely don't want to take anything away from them. They have a great pitching staff, and then they're just like you said. I think you said it is just hits you to death.
But dude, that's like I was looking at it too. The AL Central has 3 teams out of the 4 in the AL right now.
Yeah,
It's crazy. and
just like everybody would have guessed.
And talk about the Astros not hitting the ball well, dude. What happened to the Orioles?
Oh, dude.
What
I think
happened there?
Well, I remember you said it. Like we were more talking about their pitching staff, and dude, they just couldn't score runs.
They
like,
lost 1-0 in the first game.
Yeah, 1-0,
and then
I mean, 2-1.
1 run over the course of 2 games. I mean, that's not going to get it done for sure.
But like we just talked about, the Astros scored 3 runs, so we're like 3 runs isn't going to get it done. 3 runs got it done for the Royals in 2 games.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
But I mean, the Royals were bad last year, weren't they? I want to say like they.
So I don't think the record was very good, but they had like Bobby Witt Jr. going off. They had what was it? Salvador Perez.
Yeah, Salvador Perez had like a career year.
Yeah, he had a career year last year. So
yeah, I mean, dude, they went 56 and 106 last year.
God, I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like they had one of the worst records in the league last year.
I think they swept us at the end of the season too last year.
Yeah,
I was like annoyed because they were just hitting the cover off the ball against us, which they can do obviously with
well, and that's what the Astros like to do against bad teams too, is give up runs and lose. So.
They do, they really do. But I mean, again, we just don't know what's going to come down to.
Well, and dude, like
it's been. I wish the Astros were in it because, I mean, this playoff season seems like it's. I mean, it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I just don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're just a baseball fan, like man, like it'd be so much fun to watch. But like I just really just don't want to watch it
I
now.
feel like that's my problem with baseball, like college baseball or MLB. Like if my team's not in it, like I really just don't care. College football, man. I mean, I watch them all if I can.
Oh, for sure.
But with baseball, I just can't get into it. But they seem electric. Like I've been kind of checking in on bar stools, like Mets, Phillies, like stuff, and like
Oh,
Frank
yeah.
the Tank.
Yeah, the Tank, yeah, dude. Like,
That dude's hilarious.
He's a
Man.
roller coaster of emotions today,
Yeah.
dude. I was watching.
Yeah, just like biting on stuff, like just like freaking out. But I mean, that dude needs something because he's a Dolphins fan.
Oh, dude.
He's a Mets fan. He's a New Jersey Devils fan. Like he just
Yeah.
speaking of New Jersey Devils, hockey's about to start up too.
Yeah, it sure is.
Might have to get our hockey correspondent Travis in, hop on the podcast with us.
Yeah, because if you're expecting any kind of hockey analysis, you're in the wrong place.
I mean, the only analysis that I can give you is I can name you some guys.
I can give you some prize picks.
Prize picks, shots on goal, man. Like that was my cash cow last year.
Oh,
I
dude.
went off on that. You just have your main dudes, but no, we're trying to get Travis on here. He's kind of into the hockey realm and college football fanatic as well. And so yeah, that might be something we kind of start up. But I know they started over in like Norway. They started this week.
Really?
Yeah, that's how
Wow.
they kicked off the season. I think they played 2 games, one yesterday, one today, to kick off the regular season, and then it's full swing on Tuesday.
Dude, you want to know the crazy stat that I saw last season? And,
For hockey?
Yeah, for hockey, is that a Canadian team has not won the Stanley Cup since 1993.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I did not. I just knew like the Toronto Maple Leafs are cursed. Like
Really?
Oh, dude. Like,
Were they the ones that were in the? Was it the Maple Leafs or the Oilers that were in the?
the Oilers were?
Yeah,
Edmonton was this year.
because
and,
that's what they said. Like the Oilers had the big shot, and then they ended up losing to Florida.
Dude, and they have a really good team, dude. Like Edmonton has a
Really?
good squad, dude. They have some really fun players. Connor McDavid leads the charge with that. He's
Really?
unbelievable with the stick. But and then another fun thing to watch too with Chicago with the Blackhawks. They have a really really young kid. Oh, that's a nice. Oh, dude, did he not really get that?
he gave it back to him.
Oh my God, what
That's
an
the
idiot.
Cowboys.
Sorry, we're watching the Cowboys Steelers game.
Jeez. Disaster.
Wow, how does that happen?
That's the Cowboys, dude.
But yeah, Chicago has a young kid as well who's a lot of fun to watch too. And yeah, we'll bring on Travis and we'll kind of talk.
Well,
about
dude,
some
isn't
stuff.
Alex Ovechkin still playing? That dude's
Yeah.
got to be like close to 50
He's with
now.
the Capitals still?
Like that dude is
Yeah.
he's just been like consistent forever. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy to see, but that he's been able to withstand everything.
Oh, and dude, last year, God, I can't think of his name right now. I got to get back in the swing of the hockey stuff. But there's a dude from the New York Rangers. Like he literally is like a rookie, and like I think he's 18 or 19 years old. And his only thing that he does is go out there and just start fighting. Like as soon as the puck drops, he drops his gloves and just starts wailing on a guy.
Oh,
it's
my
awesome, dude. That's like
gosh,
his
dude.
thing. It's pretty sweet. He's for the New York. He plays for the Rangers. But
Dang. I'll tell you, like, I think I've told you before, but like I watch so many sports that like I don't like. I've just never been able to get into hockey. It's kind of the same thing as like the Premier League. Like I'm trying to like it's kind of like when you start a new sport. Like you have to like force yourself to watch it, and then like once you start picking up the rules and everything, then you can like that's when you like really start picking it up. And so like like you got me on the Arsenal, so like I'm like almost forcing myself just to watch right now, just so it becomes like I'm a fan type of deal.
yeah, but you're texting me and like, what a goal! Like, so I know you're
dude,
watching.
because it's fun. Like
It
because
is. It
like
is.
because like if you just watch soccer just as a casual fan, like it's fun. Because like I mean, and that's why a lot of Americans don't like it because there's not a lot of goals scored. But like, dude, some of the goals that are scored, like especially like I know you say it all the time, but like Arsenal, like they're that young electric team, and like the set pieces that they do,
Yeah, dude.
like the way that they create goals like is unbelievable to me sometimes. Like it's like, and it's not just them. Like obviously there's a lot of other teams too, but like and Arsenal's just the one that I watch the most. But like, dude, like the goal creation is just like, because I know like our big thing is like the U.S. men's team. Like obviously we're fans of them, but like the caliber of athlete is just not the same yet.
I mean, dude, Pulisic is tearing up.
Well, I will
Serie
say,
A.
I have heard that is that he's on an absolute tear right now, playing very well.
Yeah.
So, You just got to find some guys around him. but
Pochettino's first game this coming up weekend.
I'm gonna be there, dude.
Are you going?
I'm gonna be in Q2. Yeah.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Against Costa Rica, right?
Panama.
Panama.
Yeah.
Close
So,
enough. They're close.
Should be a good
closely.
one. I haven't seen who's
In
gonna be. I
geography.
haven't seen who's gonna be playing yet, but I'm hoping that it's at least a majority
Well,
of the guys.
So I got a notification today. I know Balogun's out.
Yeah.
Timothy Weah's out for sure. So they called up some other people. I'm not sure who they called up.
Yeah, I mean, my assumption would be there'd probably be a lot of MLS guys, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's still gonna be fun, dude.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I've been wanting to watch like an Austin FC game because I've heard that Q2 is so much fun.
It is.
Like they said, like the fans are crazy, but they did say though that lately, like they've had a lot fewer people showing up because they're not good, and pretty much like the manager's garbage,
Yep.
and the higher ups refuse to get rid of him. Like people were like begging them to get rid of him. Like I know, like I was listening to Caught Offside, and they were talking about like how many people were like actively like I said, begging, like saying like, dude, it's time to move on. Like
Yeah.
like they don't understand like what the infatuation with him is, but
And that's kind of how, I mean, you see that a lot in soccer where the supporters are like, they literally like just turn on the manager and they have like signs and all kind of stuff. Like Arsene Wenger for Arsenal. I mean, he's a legend for Arsenal. Like at one point, like it was time for him to hang it up. Like he was getting older, but there was a huge, like they were putting like planes flying banners saying Wenger out, like all kind of stuff. Like it was but and that's kind of, it sounds like that's where Austin is. And at some point, if they hit him where the pocketbook is and they stop going to games, stop buying concessions, that kind of thing, like they'll get the point.
well, and
have
that's
to do something about
but
it.
that's what's happening is that so the first season, like everybody was showing up because Austin FC was their first season and they had a great season. They went to the playoffs, made a run.
The second year was even better.
Yeah, and so they came out hot, and so everybody was showing up. But like my sister and brother-in-law, they have season tickets, and like so that they're technically sold out.
Yeah.
Because they're season tickets, but they say like there's nobody there.
Yeah, and what a lot of the clubs in England do, they organize like walkouts. Like they'll literally all show up and then just leave.
Yeah, like
They'll just leave the game.
but like
to make a point.
but like for this one, like they're not even showing up.
Yeah,
So
at
it's
all.
like I don't understand like why you would like why are you not going to make a change? So I feel like this has to be the season they do it because I mean they're still losing and
Yeah.
I think they've already been ruled out for. I think there's 7 games left. I think they've already been ruled out. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know
Maybe
what's
it's the
going to
end
happen.
of the season kind of thing. Maybe they're just going to give them the boot by the end of the season.
Yeah, it
or
could
something.
be, but I don't know, man. But
I guess there was some other stuff happening this weekend.
yeah, dude, I think there's a couple decent games, but
And I just want to first start off with this. Obviously, as we talked about last week when we were doing all the picks, there's not a lot of really good marquee matchups this weekend. But there's conference games, and this is what happens when you play conference games. Like upsets like this happen instead of playing cupcakes at the beginning of the season. It doesn't matter that you're playing teams at like Vanderbilt. Like it's still a conference game
For sure.
And they still have dudes on that team. So this is exactly my point in playing conference and higher level games, because a week like this where you look down the list and say, God, this weekend's going to be terrible for college football, and then it turns into probably one of the best weekends that we're going to see over the course of the whole season.
for sure. And so I guess kind of one of the questions I have for you is obviously they're not going to change it, but don't rankings kind of seem pointless until you get into conference? I mean, could you almost go to where it's there are no rankings coming in?
Yeah, but you have to think, man, then there's nothing to talk about. The rankings are there for media and people to talk about.
And that's what I mean. And that's why I say it's never going to change.
It's not. And rankings don't matter. Preseason rankings, that's just stuff to talk about in the offseason.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no you're literally going off of a lot of the times it's the PR from the football team saying, oh, we look really good, or a sports writer from LSU is oh, the defense is going to be great this year.
Yep.
And then they go play, and you're like, okay, the defense was not great. You know what I mean? And so preseason AP polls right now, I mean, you have to take all that with a grain of salt. That stuff does not matter at all.
For sure.
It does not matter. Right now, like LSU's 13 and Ole Miss is number 9. And
yeah.
now they're going to advertise it as a top 15 matchup, this whole thing. So, like, it's just kind of pushing that narrative. I honestly, like, the polls just don't matter. The one poll that matters is the very last one.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Well, and that's why
Before the playoff. Well, I was
gonna say, and that's why they even delay like the CFP polls, and so like that's why I was asking, because it's almost like the polls literally mean nothing until you get to at least the CFP poll.
And I feel like people they look too far into these rankings. Like, they're like, oh my God, Bama just jumped Texas. Well, like, it doesn't really matter.
No.
Because the games are going to be played out, and eventually, like, the rankings will settle where they need to settle.
For sure.
Like, and that's right now, Texas is number 1. But if you go look at Texas's schedule, I mean, Texas hasn't been tested either.
No.
Ole Miss didn't get tested at all, and look what they did against Kentucky.
Yep.
I mean, they bounced back well this weekend against South Carolina, but, like, it doesn't matter. Like, Texas hasn't been tested yet. Once they get tested, they go through their little gauntlet. Sure, put them at number 1. That's perfectly fine, and that's where they deserve to be, because they, on paper and watching them, the eye test, they look like the best team in the country. I agree, but I mean, they've also only played ULM, UTSA, Colorado State, Michigan. Obviously, we saw what Michigan looks like. I mean, I feel like
they are who we thought they were.
I mean, I guess they can't throw the ball still.
No,
and
they're on their third string quarterback now. So,
I see. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Tuttle came in like the second quarter. They benched Orgy, so it was a short Orgy.
Yeah.
So they moved on to the next guy. But yeah, man, and that's kind of I know we talk about it a lot in the group chat and all that, but it's just you can see when teams have not been tested, and so like. This was like the first week that a lot of teams really were pushed. And so now again, so you look at it, and I know like we talk a lot about parity and like the equality, but like, Alabama comes in last week and they beat Georgia, and that turns into like this full last second thing. Then they turn around, they get beat by Vanderbilt up and down. And then Georgia, they end up breaking away later, but I mean, they struggled against Auburn almost the entire game. And so I think it's just a lot more – it's not what people are used to is the biggest thing. Like, people are used to, like, you just having this upper echelon where everybody's just dominating. And then, like, you just have, like, your really good teams and then you have your bad teams. And then now it's, like, everybody – like, yes, you have your rankings. And yes, like, if you still said who's a better team, Alabama or Vanderbilt, you're probably going to still say Alabama.
Absolutely.
But – in that day, Vanderbilt played a better game all the way through.
For sure. They were more prepared. I mean, they're not coming off this high of beating Georgia. But I listened to a podcast out of Baton Rouge. His name is Matt Moscona. He has a great statement that I agree with wholeheartedly. And this happens so much in college football. And he says, winning masks deficiencies and losing magnifies them.
Yep.
So, like, Alabama goes and beats Georgia at home. They beat them, sure. But they also gave up a 4-score lead. Like, nobody's talking about that.
No.
Nobody talks about them going up 30-3 and then Georgia coming all the way back, taking the lead. And if it wasn't for Ryan Williams, like, literally they lose that game and we're not having this conversation about Bama being the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
But because they won, nobody bats an eye. They're like, oh, it's Bama. They won. They look so good. They're the number 1 team in the country. But, again, because they pulled that out, we just see that.
Yeah, they don't look at the full scope.
And then Georgia, we see Georgia, they lost.
Yeah.
So, like, is Georgia frauds? Are Georgia frauds? I mean, they might be. I mean, they did it to Kentucky as well. But they won that game. So they put them up at number 1 or number 2, number 3, wherever they put them.
Exactly.
And so I think that statement is so well thought out and well put, because that's exactly what happens. Like LSU against USC. If they literally convert like a 3rd and 2, they probably score a touchdown there, put the game to bed, and we win, and we're 5-0. But now everybody's talking about LSU like they lost to a bad USC team. But if they win that game, like, we're like, oh, dude, like, LSU's an amazing team. They're a top 5 team in the country.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's the fickle nature of college football. And like you said, in any given day, like, some of these teams, even a Vanderbilt, a Kentucky, a South Carolina, like, they could put on like, they have athletes too. Like, they have very good athletes. And NIL and the transfer portal, I feel like has played this, like pushed this kind of into the fold, because before, again, Alabama would have 5 stars 3 deep across their whole entire roster, and now those 5 stars are saying, "Hey, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to go play right now and go make a name for myself somewhere else."
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not just Bama. Georgia, it happens at Georgia. There's like whenever, I mean, Michigan lost a lot of people after Harbaugh left. Like A&M after Jimbo got fired lost a ton of players.
Yeah, Washington losing all their guys.
Yeah. And so that's kind of, I like it, honestly. Like, I think it makes more parity across the board. And whether that makes whether we see like a team like an LSU in 2019 again, like maybe not, because there might be more parity across the board. Maybe going undefeated throughout an entire season might be more difficult now.
Yeah, and like you said, which is good. Like,
I agree.
I mean, because you see the same thing, like, which obviously it's college professional, but like the NFL, like there's never been an undefeated. Well, there's been one undefeated team ever.
Yeah.
And so, but it's the same thing. It's like it's just that parity across the board, that even though one team's better than another, it's like, for example, today the Giants got their first win of the season and they beat the Seahawks, who were undefeated coming in. So it's the same kind of thing. Now, again, like I said, it's college to pro, but it's the same kind of deal. Like, you still got, like you said earlier about Vanderbilt, they still got Division I athletes on the team. Like, now it's not the same caliber necessarily, but they're still Division I athletes. Like, they were still highly recruited, across the board for the most part. So, but it does make it a lot more fun, and it is thanks a lot to the transfer portal. I mean, that's because now it's at least created opportunities for these other programs to really at least equal the playing field. So
yeah, because before, like, Vanderbilt's never going to get those big time guys.
No,
like, I mean, that quarterback, he had the game of his life, obviously, but I mean, he transferred from, where was it, UNLV? No, it was UTEP or New Mexico State. I don't know,
Yeah,
some small school, and so he got that opportunity with the transfer portal. If it was 10 years ago, that dude stuck it wherever he started, and
yep,
nobody
he's never able to move without sitting out a year.
Yeah, like, it never happens like that. So I mean, I think it's great for the sport, and we had a little bit of like a heated debate in the group chat about like the parity thing.
Yep.
And I mean, sure, like there's not a lot of great teams, and that's perfectly fine to me. And sure, some of the football is not the best to watch. Like the Tennessee Arkansas game probably wasn't the best game in the world to watch.
Yeah, the 19-14. Yeah,
but I mean, it's still a close game, and anything can happen. Like, you still watch those games, and I don't know. I think overall it's good for the sport.
for sure. So I mean, so it definitely did shake it up. We had 4 top 11 teams go down. Alabama goes down. Tennessee goes down. Number 9 Missouri goes down. Michigan number 10. USC number 11. Yeah, dude, it was just absolutely insane, and so it really shook everything up. Texas takes back the number 1 spot, because they got to sit and just watch the massacre over the weekend. Ohio State, they take care of business against Iowa, which Iowa has looked better offensively this year, but I mean, I still think it's going to be a while before they get to.
Dude, that was a close game. Wasn't it like 3-0 at half? Like, it was.
Yeah, I think it was like 7-0, or it was
either 7 or
3-0.
3-0.
Yeah,
it was a close game at half, and then I think what they said was Ohio State scored like the first 4 drives of the second half were touchdowns.
Yeah, but again, dude, like if you look at it, like, and kind of going back to what we talked about, like no team had really played anybody yet. And so, like, if you look at, like, this coming week, which we're going to talk about the games in a little bit, but, like, Ohio State and Oregon are playing each other on Saturday. And really, like, Oregon hasn't really played anybody. They beat Michigan State, who's not a good team. And then
They did beat Boise State.
that is true.
I feel like that could turn out to be a pretty good win.
Yeah, it could be, because Boise State's been playing really well. And then Ohio State, they, like, Iowa's really, like, they just haven't played, like, a top caliber schedule yet. And so even them playing each other, like, I think it's going to be very telling this week, like, who's really going to stand out, like, if it is going to be a close game or kind of what it's going to end up being. I know it's going to be in Eugene, so it's going to be a tough environment for Ohio State. So I think it's going to be which I mean, I'm sure it's anticipated anyway, but it's going to be a really good game to watch.
Yeah.
So,
And just in general, typically in college football, October is where like real teams are found out. Like that's where the meat of the schedule kind of comes in.
for sure.
If you can get through October undefeated, typically like that means you beat some really good teams and you made things happen. And so we're coming up to. I mean, yesterday was the first of it, and we have 3 more weeks of that, which is
Heck yeah,
great.
for sure. So, but if we just want to kind of go back through and
Yeah.
we can talk about the games a little bit. Penn State took care of business against UCLA. They jumped to number 4 this week, and then A&M. We kind of led off with that, just like absolutely just beating the brakes off of Missouri, which kind of tells a couple of things. Like one, like I think Connor Wegman did bring a little bit of a boost to the A&M. They talked about Marcel Reed kind of had more of a dual threat, but they did a good job passing. But then we also kind of talked about like Missouri. They snuck by Vanderbilt at home. Vanderbilt missed a field goal in overtime, and then they beat Boston College, who's overrated as well. And so again, like going into that game, we didn't really know what kind of team Missouri really was, and I think that really showed right there, like what kind of team that they are. Like they're not the number 9 team in the nation. Like they weren't the kind of caliber they were.
And I wouldn't like listen to me at all because my picks have been god awful. But I feel like I got that one right, like on my analysis. Because like again, just like most of the time, like if you lose a defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, who went to LSU, and lose all of these defensive people, like defensive like prospects, like everything, like it's going to be hard to play at that same level.
For sure.
It's just very hard to do that. And going into College Station, although Texas A&M's offense hasn't been very good, they looked pretty good on Saturday. But Missouri's defense, that was kind of one of my big takeaways. Is why I picked A&M is because I knew Missouri's defense wasn't going to be very good, and I knew A&M's defense is good. Texas A&M, if they have one thing going, they have a very good defense.
For sure.
I still don't trust their offense at all.
No.
But that's just kind of remains to be seen for A&M if they can do that again against a little bit better defense. Because obviously, whenever Notre Dame came to town, they couldn't move the ball at all.
Yeah, because it was top level defense.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. And so that's kind of the games that Texas A&M are going to have to be in. Is kind of those defensive battles where I don't think they're scoring 41 a week.
Yeah, they still have some tough games coming up. So I mean, they're by no means in the clear as far as getting to the end of the season. But if you ask them, they're.
I mean, agreed. They think they're going to make the playoff, and honestly, with their schedule the way it shakes out, they absolutely could.
Especially with the home games that they have.
Yeah, and I mean they have LSU at home, they have Texas at home, and then the other game is South Carolina.
Yeah,
I think those are the 3 toughest games left.
Yeah,
and so.
Well, and then South Carolina, I know we kind of talked about them. Like, we don't know what kind of team they are. Like,
No.
I know we talked about like maybe they're a better team than we thought they were, and then they scored 3 points against Ole Miss last week.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of like, are they a decent team? Are they not a decent team? And they're just playing well on certain weeks. Like it's kind of weird to see, but Ole Miss goes into South Carolina and wins that game 27-3. Which South Carolina, they had a not necessarily statement wins, but at least statement games. They destroy Kentucky. They have an opportunity to beat LSU. LSU ends up sneaking that one out, but they've been playing well, and so just kind of flop like that. I mean,
yeah.
You almost wonder kind of like those decent teams, like they just kind of hit their limit at a certain point. And obviously we talk about Vanderbilt, beating Alabama, controlling the line of scrimmage the entire time. Like they just ran at will. Like
Dude, Vanderbilt didn't trail the whole game.
No, it was crazy. Like they have like an option style offense. Like that's the first time I really watched them.
Yeah. I watched them against Virginia too.
Yeah, and I think just the way that they ran the ball, like they did a great job with it. Like if you have like the ball control where you can kind of gash through like that, I mean you're gonna have success.
But going to Georgia State and losing.
Oh yeah,
well,
no, I agree.
Like that's crazy, and that just goes to show you, like everyone talks about, college football is starting to become like the professionals. They're still amateurs. Like to the sense like you're not going to get consistency every week out of
No.
18 to 21-year-olds. Like things like that are going to happen too, where you go on the road and lose to freaking Georgia State, and then you go at home and beat Alabama. But another point about that game too is Alabama potentially could be what 2-3 if it wasn't for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't for Ryan Williams, they definitely don't beat Georgia.
Right.
And then USF, like he's the is the reason they blew that game out. Like cuz that was a one possession game with like 8 minutes left.
It was close, a long time,
And he was the reason they threw a deep ball to him and he made a play. And Kellen DeBoer could have 3 losses if it wasn't for a 17-year-old.
Man,
Crazy.
could you imagine, dude? Yeah, the score in that game was not indicative at all.
Ryan Williams is a monster.
That guy, he's a dude. Like
That kid.
So did he reclassify or
Yes.
was he just young? Okay.
He reclassified, and got on campus and is doing that, which is
That's
pretty nutty.
unbelievable, dude. Yeah, and at the top level too. Like, it's just wild to see.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know what his mindset is. I don't know what he's getting paid, but I mean,
it's got to be a lot.
If Bama keeps losing, he might hit the portal.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, he was one like Texas had him, and then he flipped to Bama. So
I mean, he is from Alabama too.
yeah, well, I think that helps too.
That helps for sure, and I'm sure money obviously helps too.
For sure.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then like you said, Arkansas beating Tennessee 19-14. Tennessee again, like just hadn't been tested before this point. I mean, even going to Norman.
I mean, it's on the road.
Yeah, but I mean, look at what they did against Oklahoma, though. Like, if you ask me, I would say Oklahoma's a better team than Arkansas.
I agree. I think Arkansas has a better coach.
Oh yeah,
I think Sam Pittman's a better coach. And one thing about Sam Pittman as an underdog, like, I think he covers the spread like almost every time. At least covers the spread.
Right.
So he's going to keep it close, and that's what they did the whole game. They just kept it close, but. Again, going back to my point of like consistency, Tennessee's quarterback's 18 years old.
Yeah.
Like you could tell at the end of the game whenever they were trying to go drive down the field and make the game-winning drive, you can tell his immaturity showed. Like whenever he ran that ball out of bounds with no time left on the clock, chunking into the end zone.
Wow,
like you could tell like some of the decision making just wasn't there yet. And he's going to get better.
Yeah.
He's going to get better and he's going to be a very good quarterback. But again, it's just inconsistency that you're going to get because he went on the road and beat OU. That's a pretty good feat.
Well, that and then giving him the number 4 ranking. I mean, a lot of that is just they had a lot of momentum coming from last year. And then they go into this year, and then like really the only test was at Oklahoma. Then they win that game. So so definitely at number 4. I mean, are they the number 4 team in the nation going into that game? I mean, that's remains to be said. But
with that, like my question is always, who's number 4 then?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Cause,
I agree. Yeah,
and because people are like, oh, well, Missouri's not the number 9 team in the nation. Well, I agree. I don't think they're that good. But who else, based on their resume and having no losses, should be the number 9 team?
Yeah, for
and
sure.
If you can make a good case, then I mean, I'm down to listen. But where those rankings are, again, which don't matter at all, I always ask, who is that team then?
Yeah, who would you put there instead?
Who would be there at
sense,
4? And now obviously they lost. They're not there anymore. And so
yeah,
I don't know. But that was a sloppy game, and that's how Arkansas wanted it to be played.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and they took advantage definitely.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you who's been rolling though, dude, is Ashton Genty,
dude,
out of Boise State. 5 games in, dude's hit 1,000 yards rushing already. Like,
I wish I would have taken the season over on that.
Yeah, man. Like it's Mountain West Conference, but that dude, like, he's like his over under. So if you're into any sort of like betting, price picks, whatever, like his over under of rushing yards per game is like 195 or something. Like, and he's gone over I think every game except one.
Dude, but like, and you say that, but he rushed for like 185 against Oregon.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's just doing it against like UNLV or I keep saying UNLV, UTEP, whoever's in the Mountain West. I guess UTEP is now in the Mountain West. They just moved over,
right?
Or next year, but Dude's a monster. And the big question is I want your opinion. Do you think if he keeps doing what he's doing, do you think he at least gets an invite and is a finalist for the Heisman?
I mean, I think he should.
I think he should.
I mean,
as well.
I think regardless of your opponent, like it's still like the ability to run like that week after week. It still takes a lot of talent. And now
Agreed.
I don't know if he'll win it just because of the caliber,
He's definitely not winning.
but I mean, he's definitely got to at least be in the conversation.
But I don't think he does. I mean,
So you don't even think he gets an invite?
no, because I think because of the conference that he plays in, he doesn't even get an invite.
I mean, I could see that because I want to say, I can't remember the guy's name. He ran for San Diego State. It was several years ago.
I mean, Cole Brennan like set like the single season passing record and didn't get an invite.
He did.
Did he get an invite to New York?
He did, yeah.
Oh.
He got third, but but he was never going to win it.
No,
But he did get an invite though.
I didn't remember him getting an invite, but at least he got an invite. But that's what this guy's gonna have to do. He has to do something like incredible. Like he's doing what he's doing is incredible right now. But he has to like set a record.
Oh,
like
for
a single
sure.
season rushing record or something for him to get over there.
Which I don't know what the record is, but he's definitely trying.
Probably gonna be on pace. Yeah.
I mean, he ran for he's if you're averaging almost 200 yards per game, I mean, yeah, like you're rolling, dude. So,
Yeah.
but dude's special for sure. Like regardless
Very,
of who he's
very
playing
good.
against, but and then Michigan going on the road, losing to Washington. Like you said earlier, Michigan just zero passing game, like just the inability to move the ball. Like the media wants them to be so good. Like
Yeah.
Donovan Edwards ran for like a 30-some yard touchdown at one point. And they're like, he's just game changing or game breaking speed. I'm like, the dude's not outrunning anybody. Like it was just such a huge hole that he just was just able to hit the seam and score. But like I just don't see like Michigan just has not been impressive. And then, because like everybody talks about like their defense is still top level, but I mean they gave up 30 to Texas. They gave up 27 at Washington. I mean, like it's not like it's only the offense that's costing them games. Like,
And obviously, my pick for them to make the playoff is done now.
I would say
obviously.
that's pretty shot.
Yeah, that's definitely shot. But it goes back to my Missouri thing as well. Like, you can't lose that many kids to the NFL, to the transfer portal, lose your coach, even though their replacement was there prior. Like, you can't lose all of that and expect to be as good as you were the season before.
No, for sure.
Like, it's just very hard. Like, your expectations are too high if that's what you're expecting.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, but I mean, really, but it's both of those teams though.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, Washington, like
100%.
they both. I mean, that was the national championship rematch, and I think somebody said it even in the broadcast, they were like, it's a rematch by logo only.
That's right.
Like it was like because both teams just like completely cleared out their rosters
just
coming in.
decimated.
So Michigan losing that one, dropping them down. USC going into Minnesota, losing that one. Kind of like we talked about earlier,
That was a crazy result.
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, USC looked like they could potentially be a top team after being LSU. Now they've kind of just been so inconsistent that you don't know what to expect out of them anymore. Which I will say, like Minnesota's always a team that is always going to be competitive. Like they're like PJ Fleck, he at least gets his guys up for the games. Like, because I know we talk about it all the time. Like we talk about like these places kind of out in the boonies. Like how do you recruit people? And like Minnesota's one of those places. Like you're not going to have people just knocking on the door ready to go play in Minnesota.
No.
And so like your expectation is hopefully we go 7-5, 8-4,
Make a bowl.
get a good bowl game.
Yeah.
And so then when you get a win like that against USC, I mean, it looks good for your program.
Dude, I watched the tail end of that. And man, PJ Fleck was animated like on the sideline. Like, you could tell he wanted that one bad. Like he was.
Oh, he's a big time players coach for sure.
He looks like somebody I'd want to play for sure.
Yeah, I actually when I was a coach, I got to listen to him talk at a coaching clinic, and like he wrote a book. It's called Row Your Boat, and so and that was like his big thing, which him and David Goggins can maybe get together and
Rowboats.
row the boats and carry the logs.
Uh-huh.
But he always gets his guys up for games like that. So, and then I'm gonna jump the Big 12 because I want to talk about them for a little bit. But Miami, dude, like I know, like we were talking about in the group chat, like
ACC.
yeah, like how did Miami win that game?
Dude, I honestly I went to bed. That's just too.
I did
That's
too, but
late
dude,
for
like
me.
California controlled that game the entire time.
And a lot of people were on Cal like to cover the spread for sure
Oh,
because their
yeah.
defense is pretty good.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard too. Is that it's good, but then, man, like this is back-to-back weeks where Miami
Escapes.
Have managed to escape, and I know like some people are saying like there's been like controversial calls, but regardless, I mean, coming back and sneaking out with these games, like
I mean, Cam Ward threw for like 411 yards.
yeah, I mean they keep finding a way to win. So I mean, I think it's going to end up coming down to kind of our two picks. It's going to be Miami and Clemson. It's going to be that big showdown. That's going to end up deciding. Which again, though, I mean, I don't know how the ACC stacks up. I don't think they have divisions, or if they're going to end up playing each other again in the conference championship game. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how Miami's going to keep stacking up. You know, winning, like having to come in and winning these close games week after week. But we'll see, man. But
Snuck out again.
snuck out.
But I mean, they're still. I mean, again, what are they in the AP now? 4,
Number 4 or 5.
5.
Yeah.
Which is probably where they around where they should be. Again, this goes back to that statement: winning match deficiencies.
Yep.
So you're winning, but people are talking about you winning.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
There's obviously a problem in Miami. Something's not completely right if you're going down that bad at Cal. But the one thing I will say, I don't know if you saw this about the Cal thing. Cristobal kind of went in on Cal. He's like, one team had to play last week, obviously bye game or bye week for Cal. Everybody has them, whatever. But he's like, one team had to fly 3,000 miles.
Yeah, dude.
And one team had to sit in a locker room without AC. So they literally like Cal's locker room, I guess, had something going on with their AC.
What?
So they said all the players were just like drenched before the game, just
Holy
sweating.
smokes! What
Yeah,
the?
so-
I didn't hear about that.
So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
so I mean, granted, Cal is a good team, but Miami on paper should have beat them by more.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
like the
Vegas thought
spread
the
was
same.
17 and a half, I think. So.
But if you think about it, though, the game kicked off at 11:30 Miami time, 10:30 Miami time. You know.
Yeah.
So like, they're like, what is going on? We're playing until like 3 a.m. over
yeah,
here, you know?
exactly. Yeah, you're getting in probably on a Wednesday, trying to get over the jet lag. Like,
And then I saw something too, like, poor guy, whoever that is the equipment manager. He had to drive the freaking bus with the he had to drive the equipment on a 18-wheeler from Miami all the way
gosh, dude.
across to Berkeley, and then pack that up and drive 3,000 miles back.
Because I think Berkeley's like Northern California too.
It's like it's like near
yeah,
San Francisco.
but still, like you're having to go like
Yeah.
up and over. Like
Yeah.
you're not just coming straight across.
No.
Like God,
It's not just I-10 straight through.
Yeah,
But so
that's
imagine
wild,
being that
man.
guy.
Yep.
Another thing that took a really long trip was the Vanderbilt field goal posts.
Yeah, dude.
See that?
3 miles into the river, dude.
Dude,
like
how awesome,
went all the way
man.
through Broadway. Yeah, dude, that was so cool.
Dude, if I went to Vandy and I was in school, man, I would tell my grandkids.
Oh my
How
gosh,
about that?
dude. Carrying it through
Man.
town. It's hilarious
To
because
Broadway.
Tennessee did the same thing last year against Alabama. And so it's just hilarious that the school's like, yeah, whatever, take it. Like,
Dude, what does a goalpost cost, you think? Like,
I mean, it can't be that much. I mean,
and I don't know how true this is because I don't follow up too much on X, but I saw somebody said like Vanderbilt tweeted or posted like, hey, can we have the goalpost back? And they're gonna cut it up into pieces and auction the pieces off to pay for the fine for storming the field.
Yeah, because what's the fine's like what $100,000 or something?
It got expensive though. For if you storm the field, they definitely have to pay.
Yeah, I know that the SEC's had that for a while, where they like you storm the field, you get
I think it's
you
been
get
a
fined.
few years. Yeah,
Yeah.
they really cut down on that.
Yeah,
I know LSU got in trouble a few years ago whenever they stormed against Bama.
I mean, dude, like it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I know Texas State, they stormed the field during their bowl game last year after they won.
Oh,
after they cleared out SMU's entire stadium of beer.
Dude, that's
so it's a legendary performance right there.
man, that's just Texas State though. They're God, just so depressing because
losing
should
to
be
San Houston
undefeated,
State.
man.
Yeah.
Should be undefeated. Just boneheaded calls, man. Like going forward on your own 20, like you can't do that, man.
Yeah, dude. Like
I understand having confidence. There's a difference between confidence and being negligent.
Oh,
And
for
that's just
sure.
negligent.
Yeah, like it makes absolutely no sense. Like like if you look at the long term effects,
And
like,
it gets them back in the game. Like if you have the 20 to go, like that's a little bit of motivation. That gets their mind back into the game. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man, but yeah, it was a good idea thinking we could make the playoff this year, but
Yeah,
I think that's that ship has sailed.
I think so too.
But
You think Ryan Williams takes his red shirt? It's too late. I know it's too late, but
he played his 5 games now, but
he's taking it anyway. He's like, I don't want part of this.
I was gonna say I could see him just like I'll just sit out and just wait till next year, see where I want to go. So
That'd be hilarious.
especially if they lose another game, like we're done.
Oh, they're losing another game.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, no doubt about it. Like, again, I don't think Milrow's a good quarterback. I think he's a great athlete. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
So what's crazy too is like I think Alabama loses another game or two. I think Georgia loses another game or two. I mean,
That's where Aggie can sneak in.
that's where Aggie sneaks in. Like that
For
Aggie.
sure he could.
Well, it's going to start this week with the LSU and Ole Miss, but that LSU A&M game could have major implications, which is wild to think about. So
Depending but it depends on what Ole Miss does too. Like the winner of this Ole Miss LSU game, they have a fast track to the SEC championship.
for sure,
The winner of that game.
yeah, and so that's what I mean. Like it's huge implications this week, and then that game's gonna be big. Like there's still a lot of major matchups coming in. Like I know we were kind of joking in the chat, like the odds of Texas and A&M playing in the final game of the season, number 1 versus number 2. Like,
I mean,
could you imagine, dude?
potentially.
Like, well, I was talking to my dad earlier, and I did say like there's a good chance, depending on how A&M and Texas, obviously how they both do, like that ends up being like a top 10 matchup.
I mean, it's not going to be a 1-2.
No, not a 1-2.
Unless Ohio State loses.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like not a 1-2, but like definitely like a top 10.
Yeah.
Like which I mean, I couldn't tell you. Like it definitely hasn't been for a long time that Texas and A&M playing where they're both in the top 10. Like it's been a long time. If ever, yeah, exactly. Like, so I don't know, but that would be kind of wild because that would just add to the tension for sure.
God.
Like just the hype around it, but the last games I want to talk about, dude, is the Big 12. Like, you know, we talked about at the beginning, like everybody just beating each other up, and man, that just continues. Like right now, the top 2 in the Big 12 is
State.
Texas Tech's on top, and then BYU, Iowa State, Colorado, and West Virginia are all undefeated in conference right now. So
just like we drew it up.
yeah, dude. But like it looks like, I mean, Texas Tech's playing well. Like I picked them to go in Arizona, win it. They had a good game, won that one, and I mean Iowa State's playing well. They started slow, and I thought they were actually going to lose. They ended up blowing out Baylor, but then like BYU just like, I mean, you called that one. Like BYU's just playing really good right now.
Dude, I didn't see Texas Tech doing what they're doing for sure.
No,
I mean Arizona just came off that big win the week before.
Well, and that's what seemed like a lot of the losses this week is coming off of big wins.
Yeah.
Like coming off of big wins leading to big losses. Like that seemed kind of like a reoccurring theme this week.
Game.
Yeah, so but I mean that's part of the game though. So But West Virginia, I mean, like we watched West Virginia's Penn State, like they did not play well, but now like they're playing well again. Um, I mean, you know who's really bad though is TCU, dude. Like
TCU's awful.
TCU is in the garbage can. Like they're so bad. Like which I mean, I would have thought. I like obviously we knew they'd take a dip, but man, like people were excited about Sonny Dykes, but dude might not be the answer after all.
Dude, they played in a national championship 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and now they're the worst team in the conference, which is wild to me.
It's I mean by quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean like everybody else is at least being competitive. Like they're not even being competitive.
Yeah.
Like they just lost to Houston, who I thought was the worst team in the conference.
Was the score closer at the end?
It was 30-19 was the final.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a while there it was bad.
Yeah, I mean it was 24-6 at half.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean it was almost even worse. So, but I don't know, man. But Arizona State snuck by Kansas. UCF lost to Florida.
Yeah,
dude, I
Billy's job.
Dude, I asked this in the
group.
group.
If Florida loses that game, Billy's gone.
Oh, 100%.
Legitimately.
Well, that's what I asked in the chat. Nobody really answered, but like, what do you think is a better job right now, Florida or Florida State? Like, if you could choose which job you wanted,
probably Florida.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends on what your long term goal is. I think Texas A&M is proof of this. I think recruiting is easier if you're in the SEC.
Yeah.
A&M's a prime example of that. But if you want to fast track to the playoff, I think the ACC is kind of the answer to that, right? You build up a program, yet you don't have to go through the gauntlet of an SEC schedule. So,
yeah, and that's,
I mean, it's a very good question. But honestly, I think Florida's the way to go, just because I think you can get better recruits being in the SEC, and I think Florida's. I mean, Florida State's pockets are pretty deep too. I don't know with the NIL collective. They're both. I mean, that's tough. I don't know.
Yeah, and
I really don't know the answer to that.
And that's kind of why I presented it, because it was like, man, like you could say, because like kind of what you're saying, because I know I brought that argument up before. It was like the SEC, like that's where your recruits are, but then I also talked about like, you know, Florida kids probably want to play in Florida, but then if you have two options, then the SEC kind of gives you that jump on that. But also, like you said too, like, hey, we're going to go to the playoff and be able to compete consistently for a national championship, meaning like we're in the playoff year after year. I would say Florida State is your better option.
But think about this though, like you have those two teams, but then you're also dealing with Miami.
That's true.
In the state. So like, and you know, they have deep pockets as well. So like that's tough. That's very tough.
Man, yeah.
Florida, being in Florida is just tough in general because it's spread, like the wealth is spread. They have a ton of like obviously talent, blue chip prospects, but it's split between those three schools whenever you live there, and which keeps going back to like why I think LSU is kind of in that like league of their own, not league, but like in their like realm of their own.
Yeah, they don't have like true competition.
There's no competition for in-state kids. Like LSU is the flagship school of the state. There's nobody else. In Texas, you have A&M, you have Texas, you have TCU, you have Baylor, you have Houston, you have all these schools, Texas Tech.
Yep.
Like, shoot, in up in Dallas, you have OU.
Yeah.
Because they go grab a ton.
Yeah, a lot of times, yeah.
And so it just makes it so much more difficult to keep those in-state kids in school. Because Texas, like, if you look at the top 10 recruits in the state of Texas, I think Texas has one or two of the top 10 in the state that are going to UT.
Yeah.
The rest are going out of state, or they're going to a different school, obviously A&M.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like,
oh my god,
bro,
dude,
Dak is so bad. Oh my gosh, dude.
That is a bad throw. But no, so it just makes it very difficult, and LSU doesn't have that. But in Florida, God, I mean, think about how many kids go out of the state of Florida to different places. Like LSU's had some very big names come out of the state of Florida.
Oh, for sure. Well, and then especially when you have like, you know, IMG Academy, where a lot of the
Kids
kids
from
are
over the
coming from
country.
all over the country into Florida, and then they kind of disperse from there. So it just kind of depends. But
For sure.
I just thought it was like
That is a
something
very
to
good
think
question.
about, just because. I mean, if you look at recency, I mean, obviously Florida State's been better recently.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time Florida's really competed in the SEC? Tebow?
Probably Tebow. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what, 09 was the last year,
Yeah.
08. Like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they've had some decent years, but no.
yeah, but I mean, just like as far as just competing for conference, like,
Yeah.
they've never been in a race where, like, in a hypothetical 12-team playoff, like, they're not in the playoff.
Yeah.
Like, I'd say the last decent year they had was probably the shoe year against LSU.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen, like, I forgot what the stat was, but, like, they showed, like from the moment that kid threw that shoe, like the whole Florida like just tanked, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I've seen that. That's pretty
I still
good.
remember watching that game. It was the funniest thing ever.
Dude, I
But
remember watching it too. That was
it
nuts.
was a wild game, man. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, man, that's pretty much the overall. Speaking of Florida State, they got thumped at home by Clemson. I mean,
Dude, they kept it kind of close in the second half. I think, wasn't it like a 12, 14-point game?
yeah,
Was the final?
26-13 was the final. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think they ever really like had a chance.
No,
I mean,
they
like,
didn't have a chance. But, dude, if you go look at their game last year, Florida State won that game, obviously. They went undefeated.
Yeah.
But, dude, like, they needed like a 99-yard fumble return for a touchdown. And I think Clemson, if I remember correctly, Clemson had like they had a walk-on kicker who's like an accounting major because their kicker got hurt and he missed like a 29-yard field goal for Clemson to win the game.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was crazy last year.
Yeah.
And so weird things kind of happen in those games anyway, but no, obviously Florida State's bad.
Yeah, man, like they're on the downhill slope. So
Yeah.
I just wonder what the breaking point for Norvell is, like if it is this year.
I mean,
Because I mean, like they've got tough games coming up, so like now you've pretty much established that you're not good. But
is that their seventh law or
that's
sixth loss?
five.
Five.
So
Yeah.
so they're still in the running. But
don't know
I
why
mean,
it's
they
not
still have
seven.
3 ranked matchups coming up,
Yeah.
and so they're in trouble, man. But Clemson's playing a lot better. I mean, they really turned it up since that Georgia game.
Yeah.
But again, like it just makes you wonder, because I mean, like,
But dude, that Georgia game was close in the first half.
yeah, it was, and then Georgia blew it open. So, but that's what I mean though. It's like, so is Clemson just playing better, or did Georgia kind of like, was that like just one of their just like really good games?
I mean, I don't know why it couldn't be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'll say there's probably a bit of a combination.
Yeah.
So
And I feel like that's the case a lot of times.
yeah, for sure. So, but yeah, man, so that's pretty much the wrap up for the weekend. So, man, the standings are, I think they're probably shook up a little bit. We don't have them right in front of us, but I know that definitely a lot of. I don't think anybody went undefeated, just because I think that there were so many shakeups, and
Yeah.
I think the Washington game probably screwed the most people up.
Yeah.
So, but
I'll have to tally that up. I didn't get a chance to tally it up this weekend. I was out of town.
yeah,
But I'll tally it up and we'll go over the standings next.
you're ready
next
to
week.
come and take it, dude. So,
Yeah.
but let's get ready to roll into our games.
Let's do it.
All right, so our first one, we're going to the Red River Shootouts. Texas, 14.5-point favorites over Oklahoma.
I mean, I'm rolling with Texas. I've rolled with them the last few years too. Like last year, I mean, they were definitely a better team than OU and ended up losing the game. And I think the spread was probably pretty close to what it is now.
I think it was,
like
yeah.
10.
Yeah.
I think it might have been 10. It was definitely a 2-score game. But yeah, Texas is just going to be too much. OU's obviously worse without their quarterback, which
Well, they have no identity at quarterback.
well, yeah, but they also let one of the Heisman frontrunners go to Oregon, so just a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
But no, I'm rolling with Texas. I think Texas rolls. I think they cover the 14.5. Honestly,
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Not really much else to say about it.
yeah. And yours is back as well.
Yeah,
I
that would be the only reason I could see it being close, at least at
a
first,
little rusty.
is just because he's going to have to work back in. But he's done pretty well in the past as far as just bouncing back from injuries and
Yeah.
playing well. So
for sure. Next game, College Game Day, going to Eugene for Ohio State against Oregon. Ohio State are 4-point road favorites. Who you got?
Well, I'm gonna take my Big Ten favorite, which is Oregon.
Really?
I think being at home, I think that they've kept games close. Like they haven't overly impressed me, but neither has Ohio State. I mean, neither team's really done a lot to where like I'm like, man, like they're just like a dominant team right now. But I think it's gonna be super competitive. I think that the home environment definitely makes a difference. Saturday night on NBC. I think it's going to be a really good game, but I think Oregon's going to end up sneaking it out.
Yeah, I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to go Ohio State. I think Ohio State's receivers are going to be too much for Oregon, even on the road. It's going. I hear Autzen is a crazy environment. They're in Oregon, the stadium, but,
For sure.
And obviously college game day. It'll be a night game, so they'll have all day to kind of liquid courage themselves
That's
up.
right,
You know.
yeah.
But no, I think Ohio State's just going to be too much. Obviously, neither team really has been tested. I think the Iowa game was a pretty decent test. Iowa always has a good defense,
Yeah.
and they were able to put up some points against them. And Oregon, and we might come back and say Oregon's win against Boise State might be a really good win, but as we talked about earlier, but again, Oregon has not impressed me at all.
For sure. So it's definitely going to be a good game. I do think that. So.
Yeah, I think so too. Unfortunately, it's going to be at the same time as the next game.
Yeah, which I know you were ready for,
Yeah.
dude. So Ole Miss are 2.5-point favorites going to LSU.
Which 2.5? I'm surprised it's that, but again, I think LSU has gotten better as the season's gone along. There's a lot of controversy right now at LSU with Baton Rouge with kind of the fans. Harold Perkins is out for the season, which is like the preseason All-American linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He tore his ACL, but a lot of people are saying, and I'm kind of of the mindset too, is I think LSU's defense is better without him. I feel like he was kind of that player where he wasn't fitting properly. They were kind of moving him to inside linebacker, down kind of to an edge rusher, just kind of moving him all over the place.
Kind of
and-
forcing him into positions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was too forced. And so I think LSU's defense might be a little bit better without him, which is weird to say. But I got to go LSU. I can't pick against my team. I think their offense is legit still. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't know what the over-under is in the game, but whatever the over is, I'd probably go over that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to take Ole Miss. And a lot of it is just because, I mean, I know like I feel like Lane Kiffin does a really good job of getting his team up for games like this. And like we talked about before too, it's a huge rivalry. And so I think it's going to be a light, electric game, high scoring, a lot of points. But I think Ole Miss is going to find a way to sneak it out. So
Yeah.
but I think it'll probably come down to like a field goal. And I feel like the reason it's at like 2.5 is because I feel like you have to give LSU like at least 3 to 5 points playing at home.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you go to Death Valley, I mean it's a crazy place to play. So
The one caveat with that is it is a crazy place to play at night, and it is a night game.
yeah,
Like if it was an 11 o'clock kickoff, like Tiger Stadium's just like any other place.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's hot, it's early. Those people don't get a chance to drink. Night game, I think
they're gonna be
about right.
absolutely wired
Oh, dude, it's gonna be freaking nuts in there. It's gonna be a full throat,
Yeah.
freaking loud.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun though, man. So
Next game we got Washington State at Fresno State. Same thing. Washington State are 3.5 road favorites. Who you
yeah,
got?
they got Pac-2 after dark, dude. So.
Heck yeah, dude.
No, I'm gonna take Washington State. I think Washington State, like man, like they've been playing really well.
They have.
Like it's actually been really cool to watch them play. And I think like Fresno State's actually not bad either. But I think just when you look like Washington State's only loss is to Boise, which we just talked about. Like they're playing really well. But before that game,
They
I
beat
mean,
Washington.
yeah, they went to Washington and won. They throttled Texas Tech, which that's Texas Tech's only loss. Like I mean, the other ones, they beat San Jose State in overtime, which is kind of an interesting one. But But I think just going on the road. I mean, I know like Fresno State, like they've played some good teams as well, but I think Washington State's going to be able to sneak that one out.
Yeah, I got Washington State as well. I think just again the difference in talent on the rosters are going to be too much for Fresno State to handle. And Fresno State usually has a good squad. I feel like they're always kind of in that like upset alert kind of
Oh yeah, especially at home.
position and at home. And if I'm not mistaken, this next year is going to be a Pac-12 game. I think in Fresno State going to the Pac-12.
I think they are one of the ones going
Yeah, they're
in,
one of the
yeah.
ones. So, but yeah, I'm gonna roll with Washington State too with
There
kind
you
of their
go.
wins. I like what they've been doing.
Maybe you need to start telling all my picks, dude, so you can get back in the running for.
Well, shoot, we're opposite on 2 of them already.
And then our last one, kind of keep on going with the Big 12 gauntlet. We got Kansas State 6-point favorites on the road at Colorado, dude.
Yeah, I'm going Kansas State. I still don't trust Colorado. Obviously, they snuck out. They needed a miracle to beat a bad Baylor team.
It was
Yeah.
definitely a miracle.
Yeah, they needed an absolute miracle to beat a bad Baylor team. So, Kansas State defensively, I think, are just too good. I'm gonna go Kansas State.
The reason I put this one on here is because like Kansas State has just been so inconsistent.
They have.
Like I think after the 3 or 4 weeks, like they were like my favorite to win the Big 12.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like then they get blown out by BYU. And then they come back the next week and blow out. I don't remember who they play, but they blow out the next week. So it's like, man, it's just like it's 2 different teams almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm the same as you. Like, I don't trust Colorado. I mean, I think it's going to be again. I think Colorado is going to put up points, but I think that it's going to be. I think Kansas State's going to end up winning that one. So, but I know some people will pick Colorado, which is why I threw them on there. So,
And this, if they get a win here, right? How many losses does that give them? 1. Colorado, are they 4-1?
they are.
I believe they're 4-1.
Yeah, I think they're 4-1.
And so if they keep stacking wins like that, I mean, I know he's already kind of in the conversation of the Heisman, but Travis Hunter has to be because if they lose 5 games, Travis Hunter's not sniffing the Heisman.
No, for sure.
So they need this game to kind of keep.
Yeah,
him
they're
in the
4-1
Heisman race
right
too.
now. Yeah, like, and they have the potential to do it because like they host Kansas State, host Arizona, they go to Arizona, host Cincinnati, Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I mean,
Like they have potential to go like 8-4.
I mean, if they go 8-4, I think 8-4 is pushing it. But if they go 9-3, I mean, I think, and Travis Hunter keeps doing what he's doing, I think he wins or he's at least in New York. I don't know if he wins the Heisman. That depends on how good and how well Cam Ward continues to do because I think he's the front runner.
Yeah, because one thing I keep forgetting about Travis Hunter too is that he was the number 1 athlete coming out,
Oh yeah, he's a
and he went to Jackson State.
yeah, he was a 5-star like crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, like
It was a
crazy
big
height
deal.
athlete. He goes to Jackson State Division II or what was it, FCS,
1
whatever.
AA,
But
yeah.
so yeah, it was really crazy. But yeah, man. So I think it's gonna be another great weekend of games.
I'm working.
A lot of. I'll be watching as much as I can. My son plays at 2:00, and then like I said, we're traveling to Q2, so be a lot of busyness going on. So
You gotta get you in one of those suites and have a TV going.
that's right, dude. Like I got my TV right here, dude.
That's true. That's true. No, yeah, I'll be working during the day, so I'll miss the early kicks, but I'll probably be off around like 3 or 4.
Hey, at least you're
so-
done moving, so
Oh yeah, I'd rather work.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But all right, man. There's
Yeah.
another one down.
Yep.
So we appreciate everybody listening. Just continue to support the show. We've been getting a lot more listens lately, actually, and we do appreciate that. And I think a lot of it is just people are sharing, supporting, rating, all that good stuff. Just I don't know how those algorithms work, but just whenever you share it and send it out, like that's what gets us out there. So we appreciate the shares, we appreciate the likes, we appreciate you listening more than anything. And keep sending your picks in. We got a lot of people that are putting picks in. Like I said, if you miss 1 or 2 weeks, it's not a big deal. We're going by total picks made or total picks correct, not by percentage. So just keep sending your stuff in, and we'll just keep having fun with the show. But thanks for coming in, and until next week, it's been fun.
See ya.